What's up, Milwaukee, and what's up to the whole United States? This is your boy Track Laser. I want to thank everybody for helping me get to 1,000 subscribers, and I really appreciate that. I'm on my way to watch my Green Bay Packers play against the Atlanta Falcons, but as you can see, I gotta rep Atlanta a little bit, with my red and black. So I got my CAU gear on along with my Packers stuff. I'm actually going back pretty soon, but that's another story. You'll see that later. But the reason I'm not super excited about my video having 1,000 subscribers is because obviously being from Milwaukee, us black people in Milwaukee have always had a connection to Chicago. And that's because Chicago is only 1 hour and 30 minutes away from the mill. And a lot of the hood things, such as GD, BD, BGB, Vice Lords, a lot of the drug selling, like a lot of this stuff really wasn't in Milwaukee until people started moving from Chicago to Milwaukee. And some of the people that was coming from Chicago to Milwaukee didn't even technically move here. They just be over here just moving work and selling dope and still just going back to the city, what they call the city on the weekend. So when something happens in Chicago that's crazy, we kind of feel it here too. Like it isn't just, oh, that's them, because, even me, I still got, family out there. So I want to talk about the sister Kenneka Jenkins, and may you rest in peace. May your spirit actually get the rest that it probably needs, because I think your situation is going to be solved, and I think everything is going to be exposed. So instead of just talking about it, save the horrific details and all that, I'm going to pretty much just give my theory of what I think happened. And this should also kind of give you guys an idea of probably what's going to happen as the outcome of this. Now, the whole thing about this, your generation is crazy. Y'all know I'm a man of a certain age. I was born in '77. But your generation is crazy because y'all want to put everything on Facebook, everything on Snapchat, everything on Twitter, everything on, what's the other one, Instagram. And I'm not saying that in a way that I'm saying that y'all should be better criminals in terms of not getting caught. But I just think it's insane that y'all can't do nothing without putting it online. So trying to be a criminal is the last thing y'all need to be doing, because y'all run y'all mouth and y'all think everything is for social media. So let's stick with the girl Irene. If I'm not mistaken, Irene is the one with the orange hair, and Monifa is the brown skinned one that was in the bathroom taking selfies with Kenneka. But Irene, she really gives up information that she was in on this. Obviously, I didn't see the picture of who was talking to her on Facebook Live. But at one point, somebody said in a low voice, I guess trying to be indiscreet, they stupid. They in there raping her. And her so-called friend, Irene, says, I told y'all. Now, I think Monifa was the one that she was better friends with than Irene. But still, they all came together. They show on the video footage of them walking into that hotel together. And I think it's very telling that when they walk into the hotel, all of them either look down or they looked straight ahead, and Kenneka was 100% woke. I don't know what it was about whoever was behind the front desk, but if you saw that part of that surveillance video, she was looking at whoever was behind that front desk the whole time. She didn't take her eyes off of whoever was behind that front desk until she was out of the view of the camera. So, if these girls are as grimy as I believe them to be, they picked up on that. They picked up on the fact that if we're gonna try to set this girl up, it's not gonna be easy because she's smart and she's observant. Now, I was telling a young lady earlier, very beautiful sister with natural hair. I was telling her that I think Kenneka is a square. Now, you got to peep what I mean by this. I'm a square. There's a difference between being a square and being a lame person, or even being a nerd. Um, for my definition of a square, it's really just somebody that's from the hood, that lives in the hood, that just doesn't embrace all of the hood stuff that goes on. So, does Kenneka do Molly? Maybe. Does she smoke a little weed? Maybe. Does she drink a little bit? Maybe. But something about her just gave me the impression that she didn't have a body count like the rest of her friends. She wasn't having sex as much as the rest of them. And she didn't deal with dudes that were as grimy as the dudes that her friends dealt with. I could just pick up on it and tell. Because what happens on top of that, she was prettier than all the rest of them. Even though she had the weave in, she I'm gonna say is because I want to get her sister some life instead of saying was and focusing on death. I'm gonna say she is. She is a very beautiful young lady, prettier than the rest of the ones she was with. And even though they so-called were friends since third grade, that breeds jealousy. So it's a twofold thing going on. A, if she was to get raped or tossed, on Milwaukee we say flipped. In Chicago they say run. They was running on her, or she a runner. If that was to happen, then that would bring her down a few notches. As pretty as she is, as smart as she might be, she more square than the rest of us. If she got ran through, maybe that would lift up their self-esteem a little bit. And I know that sounds bad, but this is what we're dealing with. But on the second level, there was a dude probably my age, or maybe a little bit younger than me, maybe 10 years younger than me at the most. What is a 30-year-old doing at this party with all these 19 and 20-year-olds? He didn't fit. He was out of place. But from what I picked up, he was a BD, which for my non-gang people is Black Disciple. And he was probably somewhat high-ranking in order to kind of infiltrate a party like that. Because if you know anything about the streets, if somebody like him who has a little pull, a little rank wants to come to the party, who's gonna tell him no? If it's a little foot soldier or something, maybe you can be like, "No, man, get up out of here." But if it's somebody who has a name, it's gonna kind of be hard to tell that person that you're not invited. Or if they show up, it's hard to tell them, "No, you can't come." But in this situation, I think Kenneka's friends knew exactly what it was. So it seemed like it was a combination of them being jealous and some type of gang initiation or revenge. And there's a theory that Kenneka was related to a dude that they might have been into it with, and this was some type of payback. Or maybe he just liked her and knew that she wasn't going to get down, so they had to give her something. So, I'm 100% positive that they put a lot of Molly in her drink. But here's the thing. You kids nowadays, when you guys do drugs, when you do this drug called Flocka, which is a pure form of Molly, when you do this Molly, even some of the types of weed that you guys smoke, especially the synthetic weed, the K2 and the spice, you kids are taking stuff that's mixed with a whole bunch of stuff. It's not like back in my day when you used to smoke weed, it was just weed. Even if you ate crack, it was just crack. The drugs that you kids are taking now are like mutts. You know, like a mutt dog is a dog that isn't pure. It has all types of mixtures. And if you see a red-nosed pit bull, that means that pit bull is pure. Or if you see a Siamese cat and one of his eyes is like real cockeyed and off to the side, that means that Siamese cat is 100% pure. So what's happening with these drugs that you kids are taking nowadays is they mixed up. They be putting a little bit of heroin in them. They put a little bit of cocaine in them and stuff like that. So it don't matter if y'all are doing ecstasy, flock, or whatever. Even lean, the promethazine from Houston, Texas. Everything that y'all take now is mixed up with other stuff. So inevitably, there is a report that Kenneka didn't have any trauma. If they overdid it on what they spiked her Molly with and it was too strong, she possibly could have had a heart attack. And so when we get to the point of putting her body in the freezer, they're trying to think of a way that they can cover themselves to not make it seem like they were attempting to rape her. And either they did or they didn't get to because she had a heart attack from how much drugs did she overdose from. And that leads me to my final point, because I don't want to make this a 20-minute video like everybody else. My final point is I know for a fact that the surveillance video that they showed us, that the Rosemont Police Department, aka Chicago Police Department, I know it's the suburbs, but they all work together. There is no way that that police department should have accepted what was given to them by that hotel. First of all, Kenneka had a very distinct forehead. Her forehead was circular, it was oval. The young lady roaming around in the hallway, her forehead was flat. The weave that Kenneka wore kind of started at the top of her forehead and then went down and it was thin. Whoever was roaming in this hallway, her weave covered up a big part of her forehead and it was thick. Also, the obvious thing, Kenneka's mother said that she was about 100 pounds. You know what? I'll give you 115. If you know anything about black women, white women consider being 160 pounds or 150 pounds obese. If you know anything about black women, I mean, you see girls that's 145 this thick. Okay? So 145, 150, 160 is normal to us as black men. It's not obese. So if Kenneka is 115 at the most, it's plain, clear as day, whoever was in this hallway was at least, at minimum, 145. But she looked like she could probably go more to 155, 160. It was just clear. Because black women tend to be thicker. Black women tend to have bigger butts, wider hips. And that usually requires having a small bit of a stomach. Unless you just really, really kill yourself to work out that stomach and not have it. It's just natural, it's proportional. But I'm not 100% sure that they didn't make the girl in the hallway take something too, to make it even more accurate in terms of how disoriented she would be. And if that's the case, it would explain why you see on some parts of the video, you can see that she's being guided. When she comes around the corner, an arm comes out and then it disappears. So I wouldn't be 100%, surprised if part of the reason that would give the tape a little bit more authenticity is because they had her take a certain amount of drugs that wasn't spiked as heavily as Kenneka's because it killed her. And they had her go through the hallway and put on Kenneka's clothes so that it could be somewhat of a reenactment that's more realistic. Because I think old girl was really messed up. Did you see how hard she hit that railing and held her balance up? I think she was messed up for real. But the fact was, it just wasn't Kenneka that was messed up. And the final thing that I can give you to ensure that this wasn't her is when she took the selfie in the bathroom with Monifa. You can clearly see the rips in her jeans. She don't have on what do you ladies call stuff? Y'all got something called Spanx. Back in the day, we used to call them biker shorts, leggings, whatever y'all wear up underneath y'all pants. Kenneka didn't have on none of that. All you see is her brown skin through the rips in those pants. But whoever this young lady who was roaming through the hallways just tore up, she had on like white Spanx, tights, yoga pants, whatever y'all call that stuff. She had some white ones on up underneath those pants. Those probably were Kenneka's pants that she had on. Which would also explain why she probably looked even thicker. Because you put on somebody's pants and that person is smaller than you, she probably had to squeeze into those pants because she had more butt and more hips than Kenneka. So, needless to say, all of this is gonna come out, and Kenneka's spirit will rest, and she won't be as weary once it all comes out, because it will. Rest in peace, and salute to the family. I'm grieving with y'all, and I hope y'all get through it.